By sunrise, security cameras proved nobody entered our room. Yet muddy footprints had circled our bed all night. You tell me, would you stay after hearing that? Because I did, at least until morning. I'm just an ordinary man. I work long hours, count my vacation days like they're gold. And when I finally get time off, I want peace, quiet, and a decent mattress. My wife wanted romance, old architecture, ocean air, a place with history. I wanted clean sheets and working plumbing. Between the two of us, we settled on a seaside hotel in Maine that looked charming in the photos and expensive enough to seem safe. Now, I'm the kind of person who checks under hotel blankets for stains before I ever worry about ghosts. I test the locks, inspect the bathroom, and make sure nobody left half a sandwich in the mini fridge. That's who I am. Skeptical, practical, maybe a little annoying. So when we pulled into that fog-covered parking lot after midnight, with the waves hitting somewhere beyond the darkness and the hotel windows glowing like tired eyes, I told myself the uneasy feeling was just exhaustion. I was wrong. We arrived a little after midnight. Fog rolled across the parking lot, so thick it swallowed the road behind us, and a cold rain tapped steadily on the windshield like fingers asking to be let in. The hotel stood above the shoreline, old wood, tall windows, elegant in the way places get when time has worn them down but never fully defeated them. Inside, the lobby was warm, but not comforting. The hallways carried a smell of salt water, damp carpet, and furniture polish, so old it seemed trapped in the walls. Behind the front desk stood a clerk, so pale he looked like he hadn't slept in days. He barely met our eyes. Instead, he kept glancing at the long grandfather clock near the staircase. When he reached for a key, his hand paused. It was an old brass tag stamped 214. He slid it across the counter and said almost under his breath, "If you need anything, don't call after 2 a.m. I gave a nervous laugh. The kind people use when they don't know what else to do. I figured maybe the guy hated night shifts. Room 214 looked perfectly normal. Fresh sheets, antique dresser, ocean view, everything in place. Then my wife stepped into the bathroom and froze. The mirror was fogged over. Across the glass, written by a finger from the inside, were 4 words. "Don't sleep here. Tell me honestly, would you leave right then? Or assume someone was playing a joke?" We went straight back downstairs, mirror message and all. My wife was furious. I was tired, irritated, and ready to demand another room. The clerk looked up the second he saw us, and whatever color he had left drained from his face. I told him exactly what was written on the mirror. For a moment, he just stared at me. Then he said quietly, "That room hasn't been used in years." He seemed to realize what he'd said and corrected himself almost immediately. Claimed housekeeping must have cleaned the wrong room. Claimed someone was playing a prank. Claimed a lot of things. None of them sounded true. There were no other vacancies. The storm had shut down the roads. Every nearby inn was booked, and he promised a full refund in the morning. We were exhausted, soaked, and too far from home to argue anymore. So we went back to room 214. Neither of us unpacked. We left our shoes on, coats over the chair, wallets in our pockets. We even slept fully clothed, like people waiting to run. I don't know how long I slept, but when I woke, the room was darker than before, and the silence felt wrong. Not peaceful, empty, like the ocean itself had stopped outside the window. Then I heard it. One slow footstep pressing into the carpet beside the bed. Then another. Then another. Something was walking around us in a circle. I couldn't see anything. My eyes searched the dark, but there was only the outline of furniture and the faint shape of the curtains. My wife's hand clamped onto my arm, so hard it hurt. She was awake too. She had heard it. The steps continued, slow, wet, dragging slightly between each one, a careful pace, as if whoever it was had all night around us. Again. I reached for the lamp on the nightstand and snapped it on. The footsteps stopped instantly. The room was empty. Door still chained. Windows still locked. No place to hide. But now the air smelled like wet dirt and seawater. Morning came slowly. Neither of us remembered sleeping, only waiting for daylight. The moment the sun pushed through the curtains, we looked down at the floor, and my wife screamed. Around the mattress was a ring of muddy footprints pressed deep into the carpet. A perfect circle surrounding the bed. Some prints pointed forward, but several faced inward toward where we had been lying, as if someone had stopped to watch us in the dark. We ran downstairs and demanded the security footage. The clerk's hands shook so badly he could barely work the monitor. The hallway camera outside room 214 played from midnight until sunrise. No one entered. No one left. The clerk began crying before the video even ended. He admitted the room was supposed to stay locked forever. Years earlier, during a storm much like that one, a fisherman checked into 214 after midnight. Staff found him dead beside the bed at dawn, surrounded by wet mud from the shoreline. No sign of injury, no sign of anyone else. After that, guests who stayed there reported footsteps circling the mattress at exactly 2:14 a.m., so the room was sealed. And the man working that night? He was new. He rented it by mistake. We left immediately. We didn't go back upstairs for our bags because we had never unpacked them. We threw our suitcases into the car, ignored the clerk calling after us, and drove out of that town without speaking. Neither of us ever wanted to see that hotel again, and we never returned to Maine. About 20 minutes into the drive, my wife finally looked up into the small mirror on the sun visor. Then she went completely pale. She pointed behind us but couldn't speak. I pulled over and turned around. There on the inside of the rear window, above the trunk latch, was a single muddy footprint, small enough to fit where no person could stand, but enough that it was still slowly sliding downward. We stared at it the rest of the drive home. We never opened the trunk that night. What would you have done after seeing those footprints? Comment below. And if you enjoy true vacation horror stories, like and subscribe because the next hotel story is worse. If you ever rent an Airbnb in the mountains, check the attic first. I didn't. I still remember how normal everything felt when we pulled up to that cabin in Colorado. Just 3 friends, tired from work, chasing a cheap weekend escape because the city had been loud in a way that sticks to your bones. I'm the kind of guy who over-explains everything, tries to make sense of things before they even happen. And yeah, I'm also the one who picked the cheapest listing we could find. My friends still joke that I treat vacation planning like a clearance aisle challenge. The cabin sat alone, tucked between tall pines, like it was trying not to be seen from the road. Snow on the roof, porch creaking just slightly when the wind hit it. Nothing about it screamed, "Leave immediately." In fact, it looked perfect in that quiet, almost too perfect way that makes you relax without knowing why. The host messaged me before we arrived, said he wouldn't be around, said we'd have the place to ourselves completely. I remember thinking that was ideal. No awkward check-ins, no small talk, just keys and silence. But the moment we stepped inside, there was a feeling I can't really explain. Not fear exactly, more like awareness. Like the house had already noticed we were there before we noticed it. Still, we laughed it off, dropped our bags, chose rooms. I even joke that if anything weird happened, it was probably just old mountain house personality. We didn't know then how closely we were going to be observed. We were there for a weekend break, nothing serious. Just me and 2 friends who agreed to come along because I said I'd film a little travel thing for memories. I do videography on the side, mostly harmless stuff, sunsets, road trips, that kind of thing people scroll past at 2 a.m. and forget 5 minutes later. And yeah, I pick a place. Cheapest cabin on the app. I even said, don't worry, saving money always comes with a free horror DLC nobody asked for. We laughed about it in the car like it was just another joke you make when you're trying to convince yourself you're being smart. The drive out got quieter the farther we went. Signal bars dropped one by one until my phone was basically a useless rectangle with a camera. The town we passed through looked half asleep, like it didn't belong to the present anymore. After that, it was just trees, endless trees. The cabin sat way off the main road, surrounded by snow-covered forest, no neighbors in sight, no lights anywhere close enough to matter. Just wood, wind, and silence that felt a bit too complete. Before we arrived, the host had messaged me. I'll be far away. You won't even notice I exist. At the time, I thought that was perfect. No check-in awkwardness. No interruptions. Just keys under the mat and a weekend to ourselves. I even remember saying, half joking, "Good. I like my vacations like I like my Wi-Fi, no interference." But when I read that message again later, after everything started, it didn't feel reassuring anymore. It felt like something that was never meant to be read twice. The first day felt normal enough that we stopped thinking about it. We unpacked claimed rooms and started settling in. But the next morning, something small was off. I can't even explain why it caught my attention at first. It was just the living room chair. One of them had shifted slightly, not dragged, not tipped, just angled differently than we left it, like someone had sat there after we went to bed and tried to pretend they hadn't. My friend joked that we probably bumped it while carrying bags in. I wanted to believe that, so I did. But then it happened again the next morning. Same chair, different position, closer to the hallway. We brushed it off, said it was the floorboards, maybe uneven wood, maybe us being tired. But then the fridge started acting strange. Food we clearly remembered buying, gone. Not spoiled, not touched randomly, just missing. Like someone had quietly decided they needed it more than we did. That was the first time I checked the locks twice. By the second night, the cabin started to feel awake in a way it wasn't before. The lights flickered once, then twice, then held steady like nothing happened. My friend said it was probably just old wiring. We laughed, but it didn't land the same way anymore. And then came the sound. Around 2 or 3 in the morning, when everything outside had gone completely still, there was this soft humming, low, uneven, like someone trying to remember a tune inside the walls themselves. Not loud enough to be obvious at first, but impossible to ignore once you noticed it. We sat up in bed, listening, pretending we didn't all hear it. Old cabin settling. One of them whispered. We all agreed too quickly. I told myself there had to be a reason. Pipes, wind, anything logical. But the longer I stayed awake, the more I started noticing something worse. The humming didn't move through the house. It stayed in one place, right above us. By the third day, we stopped joking about it. It wasn't just the humming anymore. We were all in the kitchen when we heard footsteps above us. Slow, deliberate steps. Not the sound of wind, not settling wood. Actual movement, pacing from one end of the ceiling to the other. We froze at the same time. All 3 of us. Because no one was upstairs. We checked anyway. Every room, every corner. Nothing. Just empty hallways and cold air that felt heavier than it should have been. That's when I noticed a wall near the living room. There was a cold draft coming from it. Not the window, not the door. The wall itself, like something behind it wasn't fully sealed from the rest of the house. I don't know why I started looking closer. Maybe it was the way the air kept shifting in that one exact spot. And that's when I saw it. A bookshelf that didn't sit right. It looked normal at first glance, but one edge was slightly off, like it had been moved and carefully pushed back into place too fast to align properly. My friend tried to stop me when I reached for it. I didn't listen. When we pulled it away from the wall, there was a door behind it. A small one, old wood, locked. No one said anything for a few seconds. Then I remember hearing my own voice asking, way too quietly, "Why is there a door here?" We forced it open. The smell hit first. Stale air, like something that had been closed off for too long, but still lived inside it. Inside, the space wasn't empty. There were blankets neatly folded. Canned food stacked like someone had planned to stay a long time. a flashlight sitting upright like it had been used recently. And then the photos, printed, new, us, sleeping, on the couch, in our rooms, at the table, taken from above, from corners we never looked at, from inside the house. That's when it hit all at once. The host wasn't away. He was never away. He had been here the entire time, living above us, watching, moving through the parts of the house we never thought to question. We didn't even argue. We just ran for the phone. My hands were shaking so badly, I almost dropped it trying to call the police. I remember repeating the address 3 times because my brain kept skipping words. My friends are already at the door. Like staying inside the cabin had suddenly become impossible. Then we heard it again, the footsteps. But this time, they weren't slow. They hit the attic above us like something was running. Fast, heavy, panicked, wood shaking, dust falling through the ceiling cracks. Then suddenly it stopped. Silence for maybe 2 seconds. And then the attic hatch slammed open. We didn't see him, but we heard him moving fast down the far side of the house and out into the forest behind the cabin. By the time the police arrived, everything looked normal again. Too normal. No broken doors. No visible signs of forced entry. Just quiet snow and trees standing still like nothing had happened. They searched anyway, and that's when they found it. A trail in the snow, fresh, uneven, leading from the back of the cabin into the woods until it just stopped. No footprints after a certain point. No direction. Nothing. Like whoever made them just stopped existing. We never saw the host again, but I still think about that cabin. Because of one simple truth I can't forget. We slept in his house, and we didn't even know when we were being watched. So tell me this, if you rent an Airbnb, would you ever check the attic first? If you've had a strange stay somewhere, drop it in the comments. And subscribe, because next time it might not just be a story. I thought the worst thing about that motel would be the smell, until I touched a hand under my bed. My name is Matthew, and this happened during a summer road trip my younger sister Ava and I took across the United States. We've been driving for hours through Arizona, the kind of long desert highway, where every mile feels the same, and even the radio starts sounding tired. I'm the practical one in the family. The one who checks maps, books rooms, keeps gas in the tank. Ava is the opposite. She jumps at shadows, locks car doors twice, and once screamed because a tumbleweed rolled past the windshield. She always said strangers were dangerous and roadside motels were where horror stories begin. I laughed at her all day, right up until that night. It was close to midnight when we saw the vacancy sign flickering ahead in the dark. The motel sat alone off the highway, surrounded by dry dirt, old fencing, and silence. Only one pickup truck was parked outside. No voices, no traffic, just wind pushing dust across the lot. We were tired enough to ignore how wrong the place felt. The man at the front desk looked older than the building itself. He slid the room key across the counter without greeting us once. His eyes stayed lowered the entire time, fixed somewhere near the register, like he didn't want to look at our faces or didn't want us reading his. I remember asking if the place was full. He paused too long, then muttered, "Just take room 12. The second we opened the door, Ava grabbed my arm. The room smelled thick and damp, like sweat trapped in fabric, wet carpet that never dried, and air that had been breathed too many times. The air conditioner clanged and rattled in the window like it was struggling to stay alive. The bathroom door stood slightly open, rocking a little each time the AC shook the wall. And one of the beds, the blanket was wrinkled in the center, like someone had just been sitting there moments earlier. Ava whispered, "Matthew, no, we're leaving." I told her it was one night, 6 hours max, and we'd be gone by sunrise. Honestly, would you stay there or sleep in the car? Then the air conditioner suddenly clicked off. The room went silent, and from somewhere near the floor, we heard breathing. I told myself it had to be old pipes, bad vents, loose walls. anything that made sense. I turned the TV volume up just to fill the room with noise, the kind of late-night static chatter that makes a place feel less empty. Ava kept staring at the floor while I pretended everything was normal. We left the lamp on and climbed into separate beds, fully dressed. A few minutes later, the bathroom door moved. Slowly, inch by inch, it swung wider on its own until the dark inside the bathroom was fully facing us. No breeze, no footsteps, just that door opening like someone on the other side had nudged it. Then my mattress gave a small jolt beneath me. Not enough to bounce, just enough to feel like weight shifting under the frame. I froze. From somewhere low to the ground came a soft crackle, like plastic wrappers being squeezed in careful hands. Ava leaned toward me and whispered, barely audible, "Matthew." I heard someone cough. That's when I stopped feeling annoyed and started feeling hunted. I checked the closet first. Empty. I checked the bathroom. Empty. I pulled back the curtain and looked through the window. Nothing outside except the truck and dark desert. Then the air conditioner clicked off again. Silence filled the room, and once more breathing came from underneath us. Sometime around 3 in the morning, exhaustion finally started pulling my eyes shut. I reached for my phone to check the time, and it slipped from my hand, falling into the narrow gap beside the bed. Half asleep, I leaned over, dropped to my knees, and reached under the mattress without thinking. My fingers brushed skin. A hand, human, warm, alive. Before I could pull back, it clamped around my wrist. Tight. I screamed so hard my throat tore. Ava was already screaming too. We ran barefoot out of that room, leaving the door wide open, sprinting across the gravel lot to the lobby. The clerk took one look at us and changed completely. He grabbed the phone, locked the front door, and called police with shaking hands. When officers entered room 12, they dragged a filthy man from beneath my bed frame. His clothes were stained black with dirt. Around him were crushed food wrappers, empty water bottles, a coil of rope, and a knife lying within reach. He had been hiding there for hours, maybe even before they gave us the key. Ava and I stood outside shaking under the patrol lights while officers questioned us. My feet were bleeding from the gravel, but I barely felt it. Then one officer looked back at room 12 and said, "If he was under the bed the whole time." He paused. "Who opened your bathroom door?" No one answered. Not the clerk. Not the police. Not us. We never learned if there was a second person in that room. But I still sleep with hotel lights on. And that wasn't even the scariest thing that happened on our road trip. If you'd have checked under the bed, comment "Nope." Follow for more true vacation horror stories.